My name is Max, a 38-year-old high school science teacher and single dad to my amazing 8-year-old daughter, Lily. The day Dr. Martinez confirmed my stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma, my world stopped. I called my parents immediately, hoping for support. Instead, they said they were busy at my cousin Jessica's wedding. I faced chemo alone, weakened, but determined to survive for Lily. Then came their call months later, asking for money for Jessica's honeymoon. They had no idea what was coming when Lily handed them that letter. Before I continue this story, let me know where you're watching from. If you've ever felt abandoned by family when you needed them most, please subscribe and join our community of survivors. For the past 10 years, teaching biology at Portland High School has been my passion. The curiosity in my students' eyes when they understand photosynthesis or cellular division for the first time gives me purpose. My classroom walls are covered with their projects and thank you notes, reminders that what I do matters. I try to bring that same excitement home to Lily, setting up weekend science experiments in our kitchen and taking nature hikes where we identify local flora and fauna. She has my curiosity and analytical mind, already talking about becoming a scientist someday. Our life settled into a comfortable routine after my divorce from Karen 3 years ago. It was amicable as these things go, both of us recognizing we had grown apart but wanting to co-parent effectively. I have primary custody since Karen travels frequently for work, though she FaceTimes with Lily several times a week and takes her 1 weekend a month. Our apartment in Portland is small but cozy, filled with books and Lily's artwork. We are financially stable, though not wealthy on a teacher's salary, but we have enough for occasional trips to the Science Museum and ice cream on Fridays. My relationship with my parents has always been complicated. Richard and Diane live in Seattle, where they built a successful property development company. Their sprawling home in an exclusive neighborhood reflects their affluent lifestyle. Growing up, I always felt like an afterthought compared to my cousin Jessica, my mother's sister's daughter. At family gatherings, my academic achievements would receive quick acknowledgement, while Jessica's mediocre piano recitals were celebrated lavishly. My science fair victories earned a nod. Her participation trophies in soccer warranted professional photo shoots. This pattern continued into adulthood. When I graduated with honors in education, my parents sent a gift card. When Jessica finished her marketing degree with average grades, they bought her a new car. They funded her destination wedding to a boyfriend of 8 months, but questioned why I needed help with the down payment on my modest first apartment. Despite these inequities, I maintained contact, calling weekly and visiting for major holidays. The relationship was strained but intact. Mostly for Lily's sake. I wanted her to know her grandparents, even if their interest in her seemed perfunctory at best. The first sign something was wrong with my health emerged slowly. Teaching is exhausting under normal circumstances, but by late fall, I found myself completely drained by lunch period. Night sweats became regular, soaking my sheets even in the cool Portland autumn. My clothes began hanging loosely as I lost weight without trying. Most concerning was my difficulty keeping up with Lily on our weekend adventures. Where I once bounded up hiking trails ahead of her, I now needed breaks every few hundred feet, watching her energy with equal parts pride and envy. "You look terrible, Natalie." My colleague, who teaches chemistry in the classroom next door, said bluntly one morning in December. "Your skin is gray. Have you seen a doctor?" "Just end of semester stress," I dismissed, though I caught my pale reflection in her classroom window. "Winter break is coming. I will recharge then." But the breaking point came during my advanced placement class, when dizziness overtook me mid-lecture. I caught myself on the edge of my desk, vision swimming. Miguel, my brightest student, noticed immediately and steadied me while another student ran for the school nurse. That afternoon, I finally scheduled a doctor's appointment. Throughout these initial health concerns, my support network began forming around me, though none of us realized how critical they would become. Ryan, who teaches physical education, offered to take Lily for playdates with his son on days when my energy flagged. Barbara, our school principal, noticed my pallor during staff meetings and adjusted my supervision schedule without my asking. My neighbor Mrs. Johnson, a retired nurse, started bringing over extra portions of her famous chicken soup, claiming she always made too much. Even Lily, with a child's intuition, began helping more around the apartment, proudly taking responsibility for feeding our cat Galileo and sorting laundry. "Daddy, you sleep a lot now," she observed one Sunday, as I dozed on the couch while she drew pictures nearby. "Are you just tired? Or are you sick tired?" Her perceptiveness caught me off guard. "Just regular tired, sweetheart," I lied, hating myself for it, but not wanting to worry her prematurely. "Teaching all those teenagers takes a lot of energy," she nodded seriously, her brown eyes studying me with more awareness than an 8-year-old should have. "I can be quiet, so you can rest more," she offered, breaking my heart with her thoughtfulness. These small kindnesses sustained me as my appointment approached, though a sense of dread grew daily. I told myself it was probably anemia, or maybe mononucleosis, something treatable with iron supplements or rest. The alternative possibilities remained unspoken, even in my private thoughts. The preliminary appointment with my primary care physician, Dr. Wilson, led to blood work that same day. His furrowed brow when reviewing the results prompted a referral to an oncologist, the word landing like a physical blow. "Just a precaution," he assured me, though his eyes said otherwise. "Dr. Martinez is excellent. She will run more comprehensive tests." The week between appointments stretched endlessly. I continued teaching, functioning on autopilot, while researching lymphatic disorders at night after Lily went to bed. The internet offered both reassurance and terror. Depending on which sites I visited, I avoided telling anyone about the oncology referral, maintaining a facade of normalcy, while fear churned beneath. The waiting room at Oregon Cancer Specialists was surreally pleasant, with soft music and nature photography on the walls. Other patients in various stages of treatment filled the comfortable chairs, some obviously ill, others appearing deceptively healthy. I wondered which category I belonged to, or if I belonged there at all. Maybe this was all an overreaction, an abundance of caution. Dr. Martinez destroyed that hope within minutes. With gentle directness, she walked me through the biopsy results and PET scan images displayed on her computer screen. The bright spots indicating hyperactive cell growth could not be explained away. "Stage 2. Hodgkin's lymphoma," she confirmed. "It has spread to lymph nodes on both sides of your diaphragm, but not to organs beyond your lymphatic system. This is very treatable, Mr. Cooper. Our recommended protocol is 6 months of chemotherapy. The 5-year survival rate for this stage is over 85% with proper treatment." Survival rate. The term bounced around my mind as she continued explaining treatment options. I was now a statistic, a percentage. The conversation shifted to practical matters: which chemotherapy drugs, frequency of treatments, expected side effects. I nodded mechanically, asking questions from some rational part of my brain while another part screamed silently. "What about work?" I managed to ask. "I have classes, responsibilities. Most patients find working full-time during treatment challenging," she explained. "I recommend medical leave, particularly during the first few months when side effects are most intense. We can revisit part-time work later if your energy allows." Before leaving, I met with the hospital financial administrator, who outlined insurance coverage and estimated out-of-pocket costs. My teacher's insurance would cover much of the treatment, but the deductibles and copays would still amount to thousands of dollars, not including lost wages during medical leave. I signed forms with a hand that felt disconnected from my body, wondering how I would manage these new financial pressures. The drive home passed in a blur of green traffic lights and January rain. I pulled into my apartment complex parking lot and sat motionless, unable to summon the energy to exit the car. Only when my phone buzzed with a text from Mrs. Johnson asking if I could pick up Lily from her apartment did I finally move. That evening, after serving Lily her favorite macaroni and cheese dinner and listening to her stories about school, I tucked her into bed with extra hugs. Once her breathing deepened into sleep, I locked myself in the bathroom and finally allowed the tears to come. Silently at first, then in racking sobs muffled by a towel. I confronted my new reality. What if I fell into the 15% who did not survive 5 years? What would happen to Lily? How would I work and parent while undergoing chemotherapy? The questions multiplied without answers. Morning brought the need for difficult conversations. I scheduled a meeting with Principal Barbara, who responded with immediate support. Your position will be here when you return, she assured me. We will find a long-term substitute, and you focus entirely on getting well. The staff will want to help with meals and transportation, you know. I cannot ask that of everyone, I protested weakly. You are not asking. We are offering, she corrected firmly. This is what community means, Max. Telling Lily proved the most challenging. I researched age-appropriate ways to discuss cancer with children, practiced what to say, then threw it all out when faced with her innocent face across our breakfast table. Sweetheart, I need to tell you something important, I began. Remember how I have been extra tired lately? I found out why. I have something called lymphoma, which is a type of cancer. Her spoon paused midway to her mouth. Like Grandma Ruth in my class? She died, and then Tyler was very sad. My stomach tightened. Not exactly like that. My cancer is different, and the doctors say it is very treatable. I will need medicine that might make me feel sick for a while, and I might lose my hair temporarily. Her eyes widened. All your hair? Even your eyebrows? Possibly, I admitted, but it will grow back after the medicine does its job killing the cancer cells. She considered this solemnly. Will you die? The directness of childhood. The doctors are very good at treating this type of cancer, I said carefully. The plan is for me to take strong medicine for about 6 months, and then get completely better. She nodded, processing. Will I catch it? No. Absolutely not, I assured her quickly. Cancer is never contagious, like a cold or flu. Who will take care of me when you have doctor appointments? I am figuring that out, I said. Ryan has offered to help, and Mrs. Johnson. And maybe sometimes your mom can adjust her schedule. We will make it work. Can I still hug you? She asked in a small voice. I opened my arms, and she flew into them. You can always hug me. In fact, your hugs are the best medicine. Against my chest, she declared. We are Team Max. We will beat the cancer together. Team Max, I agreed, fighting back tears. The strongest team there is. With school and Lily informed, I faced one more important conversation. Despite our complicated history, I needed to tell my parents. Beyond possible emotional support, I reluctantly acknowledged I might need financial assistance if medical bills exceeded my savings. More importantly, if complications arose, Lily might need her grandparents more involved in her life. It was time to bridge the distance I had allowed to grow between us. Friday evening, after putting Lily to bed with extra stories and cuddles, I settled into the armchair by my apartment window. City lights twinkled against the winter darkness, normally calming, but tonight just a backdrop to my anxiety. On the side table sat my favorite photo of Lily from last summer, laughing wildly on a swing at the park. Her joy, a talisman against the darkness of my diagnosis. My phone felt unusually heavy as I scrolled to my parents' contact. 3 rings passed before my mother answered, her voice nearly drowned out by background music and laughter. Max, is that you? Hold on. I can barely hear with all this noise. The sounds diminished slightly. There, that is better. We are at the reception. Jessica's wedding was absolutely beautiful. You really should have made the effort to come. I had received an invitation but declined. Unable to afford the cross-country flight to the Bahamas venue, plus wedding gift on a teacher's salary, my absence had triggered a week of passive-aggressive texts from my mother. Mom, I have something important to tell you and Dad, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Is he there too? Can you put me on speaker? Richard. I heard her call. Max is on the phone. Says it is important. A rustling sound followed. Okay. We can both hear you. Make it quick though. They are about to cut the cake. I took a deep breath. I was diagnosed with cancer yesterday. Stage 2. Hodgkin's lymphoma. A pause. Cancer? Are you sure? My mother asked. Yes, Mom. I have had multiple tests. I start chemotherapy next week. 6 months of treatment. "Oh my goodness," she said, her voice dropping slightly. "That sounds serious." "It is, but treatable," I explained, heart pounding. "The prognosis is good with proper treatment, but I will need to take medical leave from teaching. I am going to be pretty sick from the chemotherapy, and there are significant medical expenses even with insurance." My father's voice broke in. "Have you looked into supplemental insurance options? We have an excellent financial advisor who might suggest some investment restructuring to cover costs." Not the response I had hoped for. "The insurance part is set now. The treatments need to begin immediately," I explained. "I was hoping that maybe you both might be able to help with Lily sometimes. Ryan and other friends are stepping up, but having family around would mean a lot, especially as things get tougher." "Well, this is certainly unexpected," my mother said. "We have Jessica and Thomas staying with us after they return from the honeymoon, and then we have that cruise in March. Our calendar is quite full through spring." The background noise increased suddenly. "Oh, they are calling everyone for the cake cutting," my mother exclaimed. "Max, we need to go for the photos. We will call you back later when things settle down. Try not to worry too much. These medical people are always dramatic about everything." "Mom, I really need to talk more about this. The cancer is not something that can wait and got to run. Someone is waving frantically for us. We will call soon. Bye now." The line went dead. I stared at the phone in disbelief, waiting for it to ring again with an apologetic call back. Minutes passed. Nothing. The apartment suddenly felt cavernous in its silence. I moved to check on Lily, watching her peaceful sleep for several minutes, her small chest rising and falling steadily. Only then, in the hallway between our bedrooms, did the tears come again. Not the panicked sobs of yesterday, but a quieter, deeper grief. The cancer diagnosis had been a shock. But somehow, this abandonment cut deeper. I texted Ryan. Called my parents about the diagnosis. They were at my cousin's wedding. Too busy to talk. Literally cut me off for cake cutting. His response came immediately. "What the actual hell? That is beyond messed up. Coming over tomorrow with breakfast for you guys." No arguments. Sleep eluded me that night. I researched cancer treatments until the words blurred, read survivor stories looking for hope, and compiled lists of questions for Dr. Martinez. At 4 a.m, I sent a follow-up text to my parents. "When you have time, please call. Need to discuss treatment plan and arrangements for Lily." Days passed without response. Almost a week later, a brief text arrived from my mother. "Sorry, you are unwell. Very busy with wedding aftermath and helping Jessica and Thomas prepare for honeymoon. We'll call when things calm down." I made one final attempt, calling on a Sunday afternoon when I knew they would typically be home. The call went straight to voicemail. The message I left was direct. "I begin chemotherapy Tuesday. If you want to be involved during this difficult time, please let me know. Otherwise, I will make other arrangements." No response came. That evening, I deleted their contact information from my favorites list, a small act of self-protection that felt monumental. As I prepared for the first treatment, I accepted that this battle would be fought without their support. I had Lily, friends, colleagues, and my own determination. It would have to be enough. Tuesday morning arrived with jarring normalcy. Sunshine filtered through blinds. Galileo the cat demanded breakfast with persistent meows, and Lily needed help finding her favorite blue hair ribbons for school. I maintained a cheerfulness I did not feel, making heart-shaped pancakes and checking homework while anxiety churned beneath the surface. Ryan arrived at 7:30, travel, coffee mug in hand, and a forced brightness in his greeting. "Ready for school, Miss Lily?" Jackson saved you a seat on the bus. His son and Lily had become fast friends through our arrangements. As Lily gathered her backpack, Ryan pulled me aside. "Text updates throughout the day. I mean it. Barbara knows I am keeping my phone on during classes. I will be fine." I insisted weakly. "Sure you will," he agreed without conviction. "But text anyway." After they left, the apartment felt unnaturally quiet. I showered carefully, following the pre-treatment instructions, and dressed in comfortable layers, as recommended by the online cancer forums I had joined. The Uber driver chatted about the unseasonably nice weather, while I responded on autopilot, my mind already in the treatment room. Oregon cancer specialists looked different now that I was a patient rather than just a visitor. The soft music and calming decor took on a surreal quality. At the reception desk, I received a plastic ID bracelet and a thick folder of information, then was directed to the chemotherapy suite. The large room contained a dozen recliners arranged in a semicircle, most already occupied by patients in various stages of treatment. Some chatted with family members who sat beside them. Others dozed or watched television on personal devices. Nearly everyone had someone with them. I clutched my backpack containing snacks, a book, and my phone, suddenly feeling conspicuously alone. First time? A nurse with a name tag reading Sandra approached with a warm smile. "I am your treatment nurse today. Let us get you settled." She guided me to an empty recliner by the window and efficiently checked my vitals while explaining each step of the process. Her kindness had a professional quality until she asked, "Is someone joining you today?" "No, just me," I answered, attempting nonchalance. Something in her expression softened. "First treatments can be long. 6 hours sometimes. Are you sure there is no one who could come for part of it? My friends are covering childcare for my daughter. They cannot do both." Sandra nodded, understanding immediately. Single parent. That makes treatment logistics challenging. We have some resources that might help. She made a note in my file. "Today, I will check on you more frequently. Consider me your temporary treatment buddy." The insertion of the IV, the explanation of the drugs that would simultaneously save and ravage my body, the first flow of chemicals into my veins all passed in a clinical haze. The expected side effects began gradually. First came a metallic taste in my mouth, then waves of nausea that the preemptive anti-nausea medication only partially controlled. By hour 3, bone-deep fatigue set in, making even lifting my water bottle an effort. Sandra kept her promise, appearing regularly with ginger ale for nausea, warm blankets for the chills, and brief but welcome conversation that distracted from the discomfort. Other patients occasionally caught my eye with understanding nods or small smiles of solidarity, our shared experience creating an unspoken bond. As the final medication finished, Sandra reviewed the at-home care instructions. The next 48 hours will be the toughest. The nausea may intensify before it improves. Stay ahead of it with the medications I reviewed. Hydration is critical, even if you need to take it in small sips. Any fever over 100.4 degrees. Call immediately, day or night. The Uber ride home was torture. Every bump in the road amplifying the nausea. My apartment building's 3 flights of stairs became Mount Everest. Inside, I collapsed on the bathroom floor, too sick to reach the bedroom. Grateful only that Lily was not there to witness my weakness. Hours later, Ryan found me there when he brought Lily home. While she watched television in the living room, he helped me to bed, then organized my medications, and left prepared meals in the refrigerator. "Jackson is excited for Lily to stay with us tomorrow," he said. "She already packed her overnight bag. You focus on resting." The physical challenges of chemotherapy exceeded my worst expectations. The nausea and vomiting persisted for days after each treatment. Fatigue became my constant companion, transforming simple tasks like showering or cooking into monumental achievements. By the 3rd week, my hair began falling out in clumps, clogging the shower drain and covering my pillow each morning. "Maybe we should just shave it all off," I suggested to Lily one Saturday, trying to make it sound like an adventure rather than a surrender. She considered this seriously. "Like a soldier? Or like that basketball player on the poster at school?" "Exactly," I agreed. "Want to help?" She nodded solemnly, and we turned it into a ceremony of sorts. Ryan operated the clippers while Lily directed, giggling at the transformation. When it was done, she studied my bare scalp with intense concentration before declaring, "Now you look like a superhero in disguise." That night, I found a drawing slipped under my bedroom door. It showed a caped figure with a bald head and muscles larger than my actual twigs for arms. Above it, in Lily's careful printing, "Daddy the Cancer Fighter." While the physical symptoms were brutal, the emotional toll proved equally challenging. Maintaining a brave face around Lily drained my limited reserves. I scheduled my breakdowns carefully, allowing myself to cry only after she went to bed or when she was at school. On particularly bad days, I retreated to the shower where the sound of water disguised my sobs. Each morning, despite my determination not to, I checked my phone for messages from my parents. None came. After the third month of silence, I deleted their numbers completely, an act of self-preservation that still felt like failure. Anxiety attacks became frequent, especially at night. What if the treatment failed? What if complications developed? What would happen to Lily? The questions circled like vultures, stealing sleep and peace. As my absence from school extended, my support network expanded in unexpected ways. The meal train organized by Barbara delivered dinner 5 nights a week, each with a note of encouragement from colleagues or parents of students. My advanced placement biology students created a video compilation of their successful lab experiments, narrating each step as if teaching me for a change. Mrs. Johnson from next door became Lily's honorary grandmother, teaching her to bake cookies and telling stories of her own childhood. Ryan and his wife Sarah adjusted their schedules to ensure Lily never missed an activity, delivering her to ballet lessons and science club meetings with the same care they showed their own son. The hospital social worker connected me with a transportation service for cancer patients when I became too weak to drive safely to treatments. She also helped navigate the increasingly complex financial situation as medical bills accumulated. The financial burden grew heavier with each passing week. My teacher's health insurance covered much of the treatment costs, but the deductibles, co-payments, and out-of-network charges quickly depleted my modest savings. The unpaid portion of my medical leave reduced my income by 40%, creating a monthly shortfall that grew increasingly difficult to manage. I began using the money set aside for Lily's college fund, telling myself I would replenish it when well again. I researched medical assistance programs and applied for a hardship reduction from the hospital. Still, the stack of bills grew, each one a paper reminder of vulnerabilities beyond the physical. As the 4th month of treatment approached, I found myself weighing impossible choices: which bills to pay this month, whether to sell my car, if a second mortgage on the apartment was feasible. The stress of financial pressure compounded the physical weakness, creating a cycle of anxiety that threatened to overwhelm even my determination to remain positive for Lily's sake. Through it all, the absence of my parents loomed large, not just for the practical support they could have provided, but for the emotional void their rejection created. Each milestone in treatment passed without their acknowledgement. The halfway point, the clear blood tests showing the cancer cells retreating, the small victories of days with enough energy to help Lily with homework. The silence from Seattle spoke volumes about their priorities, and I struggled to shield Lily from the hurt of their absence. "When are Grandma and Grandpa coming to visit?" she asked innocently one evening as I helped her with a science project. "I want to show them my science fair ribbon." The question stabbed deeper than the bone pain from chemotherapy. "They are very busy right now, sweetheart," I said carefully. "But they would be really proud of your project." She seemed to accept this. But later I found her looking at the few family photos I kept displayed, her small finger tracing my mother's face, with a longing that broke my heart anew. The unexpected call came during my lowest physical point, 3 days after my 4th chemotherapy session. The treatments had grown progressively more difficult, my body's resilience wearing down with each cycle. That afternoon, I lay on the couch beneath a blanket Lily had carefully tucked around me, too exhausted to even reach for the remote control to change the mindless television program playing. When my phone rang, I almost let it go to voicemail, assuming it was another medical billing office. The unfamiliar number gave me pause, however, and concern that it might be Lily's school prompted me to answer with a voice raspy from nausea medication. "Hello?" I managed weakly. "Max, is that you? You sound terrible." My father's voice, so unexpected after months of silence, that for a moment, I thought I might be hallucinating. "Dad?" I struggled to sit upright, wincing at the movement. "Yes, it is me." "Well, you certainly sound under the weather." "That cold? Still hanging on?" The casual nature of the question, as if we had spoken recently about a minor illness, stunned me into momentary silence. Not a cold. I finally responded. The cancer. I am in the middle of chemotherapy. 4th round completed 3 days ago. Right. The lymphoma thing. He cleared his throat awkwardly. Your mother mentioned something about that. How is it going then? Making progress? The surreal nature of the conversation made me wonder if the anti-nausea medications were causing hallucinations. The cancer is responding to treatment. The side effects are challenging. I have been on medical leave since January. Good. Responding to treatment, that is positive. He paused, and I heard my mother's voice in the background, though I could not make out her words. Your mother wants to know how Lily is handling everything. The first question about my daughter in months. She is being incredibly brave. Friends have been helping with childcare while I am too sick to manage. Children are resilient, he said with the authority of someone who had spent minimal time with his granddaughter. Listen, Max. We are calling about a family matter that requires some coordination. My heart foolishly lifted. Were they finally recognizing the seriousness of my situation, planning to visit or offer support? Jessica and Thomas returned from their wedding trip absolutely exhausted, he continued. The resort was beautiful, but apparently the service was subpar for the price point. Anyway, they feel they deserve a proper honeymoon experience. I waited for the connection to my situation, finding none. The family is pulling together to send them on a luxury cruise through the Mediterranean this summer. 2 weeks, premium cabin with balcony, excursions at each port. The total package is around $30,000. And we are asking each family member to contribute. The room seemed to tilt sideways. Contribute? To Jessica's second honeymoon? Well, we would normally cover it ourselves, he explained, an edge of defensiveness entering his voice. But we have had some investment setbacks recently. The market has been unpredictable, and our property development in Bellevue hit permitting issues. Just temporary liquidity challenges. My mother's voice came on the line suddenly. Max, we are asking everyone to help. $5,000 would be your share. Jessica has always been so generous with everyone. An image flashed in my mind. The stack of medical bills on my kitchen counter. The past due notices beginning to arrive. The college fund for Lily, now depleted. Simultaneously, I recalled Jessica's elaborate wedding that I could not afford to attend, her new luxury car, the condo my parents had helped her purchase in Seattle's most expensive neighborhood. Let me understand, I said slowly, fighting both nausea and disbelief. You have not contacted me since I told you about my cancer diagnosis. You have not asked about my treatment, offered any help with Lily, or expressed concern about my medical bills. And now, you are calling to ask for $5,000 for Jessica's second honeymoon? A pause followed. Well, when you put it that way, it sounds rather cold, my mother said. Of course we have been concerned. We just assumed you had everything under control. You have always been so independent. Independent or forgotten? I asked quietly. My father took over again. Now, Max, family supports family. Jessica would do the same for you if the situation were reversed. The absurdity of this statement might have made me laugh if I had not been so close to tears. Dad, the situation is reversed right now. I have cancer. I am going through chemotherapy alone. I am facing thousands in medical bills while on reduced income. Jessica is healthy and wants a luxury vacation. Everyone has challenges, he said dismissively. We thought you would want to be included in the family gift. Your mother will text you the details for transferring the funds. We need everyone's contribution by next Friday to secure the booking. My physical weakness prevented the forceful response I might otherwise have given. Instead, I simply said, I will have to get back to you, and ended the call before they could hear the sob building in my throat. The physical reaction was immediate and overwhelming. My heart raced painfully, dizziness washing over me in waves. I barely made it to the bathroom before vomiting. The combination of chemotherapy side effects and emotional shock, too much for my system to bear. Later, curled on the cool tile floor, I stared at the ceiling and tried to process what had just happened. The complete disconnect between my reality and my parents' perception was almost incomprehensible. Their call had clarified with brutal finality where I stood in the family hierarchy when Ryan arrived with Lily after school. He found me still on the couch, physically and emotionally drained. After settling Lily with a snack and her favorite cartoon, he sat beside me, concern etched on his face. "Bad day with the chemo?" he asked quietly. "My parents called. I managed," the words catching in my throat. His expression darkened immediately. "Finally realized they should check on their son with cancer? They want $5,000 for my cousin's second honeymoon cruise." Ryan stared at me, waiting for the punchline. When none came, his face flushed with anger. "You have got to be kidding me. Please tell me you told them to go straight to hell." I said I would get back to them. Even to my own ears, the response sounded pathetic. "Max." Ryan's voice was gentle, but firm. "You do not owe them anything. Not money, not politeness, not even a return call." "I know," I whispered. "Rationally, I know that. Want me to call them?" I have some choice words saved up. His protective anger was comforting, a reminder that some people did prioritize my well-being. "No, but thank you for offering." I glanced toward the kitchen where Lily was now helping herself to apple slices. I need to figure out how to explain to her why her grandparents care more about Jessica's vacation than about visiting their son or granddaughter. That evening, I spoke with my therapist, Dr. Peterson, in an emergency phone session. The hospital had assigned her to my case after recognizing the signs of anxiety and depression during my second month of treatment. Our weekly sessions had become an essential outlet. "Their behavior reflects their limitations, not your worth," she reminded me after I recounted the conversation. "The question now is how to establish boundaries that protect your physical and emotional health during this vulnerable time." "I keep thinking I should have seen this coming," I admitted. "The pattern was established long ago. Sometimes, a crisis simply reveals what was already there." She agreed. "Now you can make decisions based on that clarity, however painful it might be." The support group I attended weekly at the cancer center provided additional perspective when I shared the story at our next meeting. Around the circle, heads shook in disbelief, but several members nodded in recognition. "My brother asked if he could have my car if I died," offered Martin, battling pancreatic cancer. "Some people cannot face mortality, so they pretend it is not happening or try to benefit from it. You are allowed to say no without guilt," added Teresa, a breast cancer survivor. "Cancer taught me that life is too short for relationships that drain rather than sustain you." Their validation helped, but explaining the situation to Lily proved most challenging. She had asked about her grandparents with increasing frequency, sensing my distress after their call. "Sweetheart, I need to talk to you about Grandma and Grandpa." I began carefully one evening during our bedtime routine. "They called yesterday." Her face brightened instantly. "Are they coming to visit? Can they come to my school play next week?" The hope in her voice made what came next even harder. "No, they are not planning to visit right now. They are very busy helping cousin Jessica." Her small brow furrowed. "Too busy to see us? Even though you are sick? Sometimes adults make choices that are hard to understand," I said, searching for an explanation that would not damage her concept of family. "Grandma and Grandpa love you, but they are not able to be here for us right now." She absorbed this, her 8-year-old mind processing adult failures with remarkable clarity. "Is that why you were crying after they called? Because they do not care that you are sick?" The directness of her question caught me off guard. "You heard that?" She nodded solemnly. "You thought I was asleep, but I heard you in the bathroom." Shame washed over me, followed by a fierce need to protect her from my pain. "I was just having a hard day with the medicine, sweetheart." She fixed me with a look beyond her years. "Dr. Martinez said we should always be honest about the cancer, no secrets." Her invoking my oncologist's name stunned me. During her visit to the cancer center the previous week, Lily had apparently had more detailed conversations than I realized. "You are right," I conceded. "I was upset because Grandma and Grandpa asked for money to help cousin Jessica go on a special trip, even though we need to save our money for my medicine right now." Her eyes widened. "But that is not fair. You are sick." "No, it is not fair," I agreed softly. She was quiet for a long moment, thinking. Then she asked, Do they know how sick you really are? Maybe they forgot. The innocent question contained a painful truth. Maybe they do not understand, I allowed. I want to go see them, she declared suddenly. I want to tell them myself. Sweetheart, Seattle is far away, and I am not feeling strong enough for that trip right now. When you are stronger then, she insisted. I will remind them that you need help. Not Cousin Jessica. We will see, I said non-committally, tucking her in with extra kisses. Later that night, I discovered her at my desk, focused intently on writing something. Papers spread around her. When I asked what she was doing, she quickly gathered everything together. It is a surprise, she said firmly. For Grandma and Grandpa. Lily, please do not worry about adult problems, I began. I am not worried, she interrupted with surprising confidence. I am fixing it. She refused to elaborate further, and exhaustion prevented me from pressing the issue. In the following days, I noticed her having quiet conversations with Dr. Martinez during my treatment session, and later with Ryan when he picked her up from school. Each time I approached, they changed the subject smoothly, fueling my curiosity, but also my concern that Lily was taking on emotional burdens beyond her years. One evening, I found her carefully placing papers in an envelope at the kitchen table. She sealed it before I could see the contents, writing, "For Grandma and Grandpa," on the front. In her careful print. What is that, sweetheart? I asked gently. She hugged the envelope to her chest. When are you going to feel better enough to visit them? They need to see this. Looking at her determined little face, I realized she would not let this go. Perhaps a brief visit would provide closure for both of us, allowing Lily to express her feelings and me to establish the boundaries my therapist had recommended. Spring break starts next week, I said slowly. If my blood counts are good at Monday's appointment, maybe we could drive to Seattle for one night. Her face lit up. Really? Promise? If Dr. Martinez says it is safe, I qualified. She threw her arms around me. She will say yes. I already asked her. Her confidence was both amusing and concerning. Whatever plan she had developed clearly involved multiple adults in my support circle. For the first time in months, I felt a spark of curiosity breaking through the fog of treatment. What exactly was my 8-year-old daughter planning? Dr. Martinez did indeed clear me for the Seattle trip, though with strict precautions about hand hygiene and avoiding crowds due to my compromised immune system. Your counts are trending upward, she explained during Monday's appointment. A brief trip should be manageable if you rest frequently and return at the first sign of fatigue or fever. After she left the examination room, a nurse entered with a large envelope. Dr. Martinez asked me to give you these copies of your medical records, she said. Lily requested them for your trip. The pieces began coming together. When I questioned Lily about it later, she simply smiled mysteriously and added the medical records to her own sealed envelope. It is all part of the plan, she informed me with the confidence of a military strategist. Ryan helped me get everything ready. Ryan was equally cryptic when confronted. Just trust Lily on this one, he advised. Sometimes kids see solutions adults miss. The drive to Seattle that Friday morning was surprisingly pleasant. April sunshine brightened the interstate, and Lily's excitement proved contagious. We listened to her favorite audiobook, stopped for lunch at a roadside diner, and arrived in Seattle by mid-afternoon. Rather than staying with my parents as would have been customary in the past, I had booked a hotel room downtown, creating a buffer for our visit. We can leave anytime you want, I reminded Lily as we pulled into my parents' affluent neighborhood. The manicured lawns and imposing homes brought back complicated memories of my childhood, never quite fitting into this world of obvious privilege. I know, she said, clutching her precious envelope on her lap. But we will not need to leave early. This will work. My parents' sprawling craftsman-style home looked exactly as I remembered, meticulously maintained with seasonal flowers lining the curved driveway. My mother answered the door before we could ring the bell, her surprise at our appearance barely concealed behind a practiced smile. Max, Lily, what an unexpected visit. Richard, look who is here, she called over her shoulder, ushering us into the marble-floored entryway. You should have called first. We might have had plans. My father emerged from his home office, reading glasses perched on his nose. "Well, this is a surprise. You look." He paused, clearly taken aback by my gaunt appearance, the weight loss and pallor of chemotherapy, impossible to ignore in person. "Different. Cancer tends to do that," I said flatly. An uncomfortable silence followed, broken by Lily stepping forward with a polite smile I recognized from school performances. "Hello, Grandma and Grandpa. Thank you for letting us visit. I brought something to show you." Her impeccable manners seemed to reset the dynamic, allowing my mother to slip into her hostess role. "Well, come in properly. I can make some tea. Lily, would you like hot chocolate? I think we have some in the pantry." The next hour passed in surreal normalcy. My mother gave Lily a tour of recent renovation projects, pointing out new granite countertops in the kitchen and custom cabinetry in the dining room. My father discussed the unseasonably warm weather and a recent golf tournament at his country club. Neither mentioned my cancer, my treatment, or the money request that had prompted our visit. Dinner continued this bizarre parallel reality. My mother served an elaborate meal I could barely eat due to lingering nausea. While chattering about Jessica's wedding, the photographer finally delivered the albums. "Let me show you after dinner." The sunset ceremony was absolutely magical. As we moved to the living room, where photo albums were indeed prominently displayed on the coffee table, my father finally addressed the elephant in the room. "So, Max, about the family contribution for Jessica's honeymoon. Have you had a chance to arrange the transfer? The booking deadline is approaching." Lily, who had been quietly observing the adults' interactions, suddenly straightened in her seat. "Actually, Grandpa, that is why we came to visit. I have something for you and Grandma." With ceremonial solemnity, she retrieved her envelope from her backpack and approached my parents, who exchanged bemused glances. "Dr. Martinez wanted you to have this," she announced, handing over the envelope. "She is Daddy's cancer doctor." My mother accepted it with visible confusion. "What is this, dear? You need to open it," Lily instructed, returning to sit beside me on the sofa, slipping her small hand into mine with a reassuring squeeze. My father, curiosity piqued, moved to look over my mother's shoulder as she opened the envelope. Inside were the medical records, but also other documents I had not seen. Treatment photographs taken during my hospital stays, detailed financial statements showing medical bills and income loss, and a personally signed letter from Dr. Martinez outlining the severity of my condition and treatment protocol. As they silently reviewed the contents, I watched their expressions transform. My mother's carefully maintained composure crumbled, her hand rising to cover her mouth. My father's face drained of color, his usual confidence evaporating. When they reached what appeared to be photographs of me during my worst days of treatment, my mother's hands began visibly trembling. Without a word, she sank into the nearest chair, the documents clutched in her shaking hands. My father remained standing but seemed suddenly older, shoulders slumping under an invisible weight. "I did not know," my mother finally whispered. "I did not realize it was this serious." "I told you it was cancer," I said quietly. "I told you I was starting chemotherapy. What did you think that meant?" "We thought," my father began, then faltered. "We assumed it was caught very early. That you were being dramatic about the treatments. People survive cancer all the time now. With minimal disruption." "Minimal disruption?" The words triggered something in me, a calm clarity cutting through months of hurt. "Let me explain what cancer has actually been like, since you did not bother to find out." With measured words, I described the physical agony of chemotherapy, the bone-deep fatigue that made climbing stairs an achievement, the nights spent vomiting until there was nothing left but dry heaves and tears. I detailed the financial devastation, medical bills exceeding $60,000, insurance covering only portions, the depletion of Lily's college fund, the unpaid medical leave reducing my income when expenses were highest. "I have gone through all of this alone," I continued, my voice gaining strength. "Every chemotherapy session, every night of sickness, every moment of fear that Lily might lose her only present parent. My friends have become my family because my actual family could not be bothered to even call." My mother began crying silently, mascara tracking down her carefully made-up face. My father attempted justification. We did not know how to help. You have always been so independent, handling everything yourself. You never asked. I countered. Not once did you ask what I needed or how Lily was coping. Instead, you called to ask for money for Jessica's luxury cruise. Lily, who had been watching this exchange with solemn attention, suddenly spoke up. Daddy cries at night when he thinks I am sleeping. He tries to be quiet, but I can hear him. Her simple statement hit with devastating force. My mother audibly gasped, and my father seemed physically struck, taking a step backward. I made a special container for his hair when it fell out. Lily continued matter-of-factly. Ryan helped me label it Daddy's Superpower Hair because Dr. Martinez said the medicine is strongest when it makes your hair fall out. That means it is killing the cancer cells. The innocence of her perspective, combined with the harsh reality it revealed, completed what the medical documents had begun. My parents' carefully constructed narrative of minimal family obligation crumbled entirely. Max, my mother finally managed, makeup streaked and voice shaking. We have been terrible parents. And worse, grandparents. I do not know what to say except that I am so sorry. My father, never comfortable with emotional displays, attempted a more practical approach. We can help financially, of course, whatever you need, and your mother can come stay with you during the remaining treatments. The offers came too late to provide the comfort they might have months earlier. I do not need your money now, I said quietly, and I have built a support system of people who have been there from the beginning. What can we do? My mother pleaded. There must be something. I looked at Lily, who watched the adults with wisdom beyond her years. Right now, nothing. We are going back to our hotel. I need to process this. And Lily needs her bedtime routine. We will be returning to Portland tomorrow, but you just got here. My mother protested. At least stay here tonight. Your old room is available. No, I said firmly, standing and reaching for Lily's hand. We need some space. This has been a lot. As we gathered our things, my parents hovered anxiously, clearly unaccustomed to being denied a quick resolution. At the door, my father attempted one more justification. We really did not understand the severity. The way you described it initially, it sounded manageable. I paused, hand on the doorknob. Dad, I told you I had cancer and was starting chemotherapy. That should have been enough for you to care, regardless of the severity. The drive to our downtown hotel passed in thoughtful silence. In the elevator, Lily finally spoke. Are you mad at me for showing them the letter and pictures? I knelt to her level, despite the effort it cost my weakened body. Not at all, sweetheart. You were incredibly brave. How did you come up with that plan? She shrugged. I asked Dr. Martinez to help me show Grandma and Grandpa how sick you really are. She said sometimes people need to see things with their own eyes. Ryan helped me get the money papers because you always look sad when you read them. I pulled her into a gentle hug, overwhelmed by her intuition and determination. You are the most amazing daughter anyone could ask for. Do you think they will be nicer now? She asked as we entered our hotel room. I think they will try, I answered honestly. But what matters most is that we have each other and all the wonderful friends who have been helping us. That night, as Lily slept in the hotel bed beside me, I found myself staring at the ceiling, processing the confrontation. There was no triumphant satisfaction, no vindictive pleasure in their distress. Instead, I felt a complex mix of sadness for what our relationship could have been and cautious hope that perhaps some truth had finally broken through. My phone buzzed with a text from my mother. We were wrong, so terribly wrong. Please give us a chance to make amends. We love you both. I did not respond immediately, allowing myself the space to consider what healthy boundaries would look like moving forward. The cancer had stripped away many things, but it had also revealed truths I needed to see, about my parents and about myself. Whatever came next would be on new terms, with clear eyes about who had proven themselves family in the ways that truly mattered. The final chemotherapy session arrived on a sunny June morning, exactly 6 months after diagnosis. Unlike my first treatment, I entered the oncology center, surrounded by support. Ryan had taken the day off work to drive us, Lily wore a homemade Team Max t-shirt she had decorated with fabric markers, and my friend Natalie from school arrived with balloons. "This is quite the entourage," Sandra, my regular treatment nurse, observed with a smile as she prepared the IV. "Very different from your first visit. These are the people who got me through," I explained simply. The treatment proceeded like the others before it, with familiar side effects and discomforts. But the atmosphere was celebratory. A finish line in sight, after a grueling marathon. When the final medication completed its infusion, the nursing staff gathered around my recliner with a small bell mounted on a wooden plaque. "This is our tradition," Dr. Martinez explained, having arrived to mark the occasion. The bell symbolizes the end of treatment and the beginning of recovery. With Lily's assistance, I rang the bell 3 times, its clear tone echoing through the treatment room. Other patients and their families applauded, united in understanding the significance of this milestone. The moment felt sacred, a dividing line between the person I was before cancer and whoever I would become after. 2 weeks later came the scan results we had been waiting for. Dr. Martinez's smile as she entered the consultation room told us the news before she spoke. "Complete remission," she confirmed, turning her computer screen so Lily and I could see the images. "No evidence of disease." The treatment worked exactly as we hoped. Lily jumped from her chair, executing a victory dance. She had apparently been practicing for this moment. "I knew it. I told everyone. Your superpower medicine would work," Dr. Martinez laughed. "Your dad responded exceptionally well to treatment. Now comes the recovery phase. It will take time for your energy to return fully, Max. Be patient with your body as it heals." "When will his hair grow back?" Lily asked. "Practical, as always. It is already starting." Dr. Martinez pointed out the fine fuzz appearing on my scalp. "By Christmas, you probably will not even remember he was bald." The physical recovery progressed steadily through summer and into fall. Each week brought small improvements. Climbing stairs without pausing to rest. Completing a full day of activities without napping. Regaining weight that had melted away during treatment. By September, I was cleared to return to teaching, though on a reduced schedule initially. My relationship with my parents entered a new phase following our confrontation in Seattle. Their initial flurry of texts and calls had eventually given way to more measured contact. I established clear boundaries, accepting their apologies but making no promises about immediate restoration of close ties. "We would like to help financially," my father had offered repeatedly. "At least let us cover the remaining medical bills." "I appreciate the offer," I responded, "but I have worked out a payment plan with the hospital." Their patient assistance program reduced the balance significantly. This refusal of financial help confused them initially, accustomed as they were to solving problems with money. Gradually, they began finding other ways to reconnect. My mother sent handwritten letters to Lily, sharing family stories and asking thoughtful questions about her interests. My father researched cancer recovery and emailed articles about nutrition and exercise that might help my healing process. By early fall, I cautiously agreed to their request to visit for a weekend. They arrived with none of their usual grand gestures. Instead, bringing homemade soup and a photo album they had assembled of my childhood achievements, many of which I had assumed they had forgotten. "We have been doing a lot of thinking," my mother said as we sat in my small living room, the awkwardness between us palpable but less overwhelming than before. "And some therapy too, if you can believe it," your mother insisted. My father added with a wry smile. "First time in 40 years I have sat on a therapist's couch. It is helping us understand how we failed you," my mother continued. "Not just during your illness, but long before that." Their efforts seemed genuine, if sometimes clumsy. They treated Lily with new attention, listening to her stories and asking about her friends with authentic interest. When she mentioned her upcoming science fair, my father immediately offered to help build her display board, spending an entire Saturday working alongside her at the kitchen table. I maintained protective distance, allowing their relationship with Lily to develop while moving cautiously in my own interactions with them. Trust, once broken so completely, could only be rebuilt slowly, if at all. My return to teaching brought its own form of healing. Principal Barbara had arranged a gradual reintegration, starting with 3 days per week and building to full-time by November. My students welcomed me with a classroom decorated with science jokes and a banner reading Mr. Cooper's molecular comeback tour. "We studied extra hard while you were gone," Miguel informed me proudly. "So you would not be disappointed when you returned." The experience of cancer inevitably influenced my teaching. During our cellular biology unit, I found myself explaining cell division with new perspective, having witnessed firsthand both the destructive potential of unchecked growth and the remarkable resilience of healthy cells. When discussing the immune system, I shared appropriate details about how chemotherapy had temporarily compromised my own defenses, turning abstract concepts into lived understanding. "Cancer cells are just normal cells that forgot the rules," I explained during one lesson. "Every cell in your body has a job and knows when to stop multiplying. Cancer happens when cells lose that instruction manual, like people who do not follow the rules?" asked Sophia, always making connections beyond the textbook. "Exactly," I nodded. "Systems work when everyone remembers their purpose and considers the greater good." The financial aftermath of cancer proved challenging, but not insurmountable. The hospital's patient assistance program forgave 30% of my remaining balance based on financial hardship. My teachers' union had collected a substantial support fund during my absence, covering 3 months of mortgage payments. Most surprisingly, my ex-wife Karen had stepped up, taking Lily for extra weekends during my recovery and contributing to a college fund to replace what I had needed to use during treatment. "We are still family," she said simply when I thanked her. Different than before, but still connected through Lily. This redefinition of family became the most profound lesson of my cancer journey. Blood relations had proven unreliable when tested, while friendships had transformed into something deeper and more enduring. Ryan and his family had become extensions of our own, our children considering themselves cousins in all but genetics. Mrs. Johnson next door had embraced her role as Lily's honorary grandmother, with a devotion my own mother was only beginning to approach. 1 year after diagnosis, we held a cancer-free anniversary celebration in our apartment. The small space overflowed with the people who had sustained us. Ryan and his family, Natalie, Barbara, Sandra, from the oncology center, Mrs. Johnson, fellow teachers, even some parents of my students who had organized meal deliveries during the worst days. Lily had insisted on making a speech, standing on a chair to address the gathered crowd. "Thank you for helping my dad fight the cancer monster," she said solemnly. "You are our real family because you showed up when we needed you." Her simple wisdom captured what I had come to understand through the crucible of illness. Family is defined by presence, by showing up in hard moments, by prioritizing relationship over convenience. My parents stood awkwardly at the edges of this celebration, invited, but still earning their place in our reconfigured world. Their continued efforts suggested they had learned something too, though whether it would last remained to be seen. As for me, cancer had stripped away pretenses and revealed priorities with brutal clarity. I found myself less patient with artificial social niceties, but more compassionate toward genuine human struggle. The classroom achievements that once defined my professional identity now shared space with a deeper calling to connect authentically with each student, recognizing that everyone fights battles unseen by others. Looking around at the celebration, at Lily's confident smile as she distributed cupcakes she had helped bake, at the intermingled conversations of friends who had become family, I felt a peace that transcended my still recovering body. Cancer had taken much, but it had also given unexpected gifts. Clarity about what matters, freedom from obligations maintained only through guilt, and appreciation for each ordinary day that followed the extraordinary battle. "You doing okay?" Ryan asked, noticing my momentary withdrawal into thought. "Need to rest?" "Actually, I am better than okay," I answered truthfully. "I am exactly where I need to be." Have you ever had to redefine what family means to you? Family should be our first line of support, but sometimes those we least expect become our true lifeline during difficult times. If this story resonated with you, please leave a comment sharing who showed up for you when you needed it most. Your story might give someone else hope during their own struggle. Hit subscribe if you want to join our community of resilience, and like this video to help others find this message. Thank you for listening. And remember that sometimes the family we choose becomes our greatest strength. No matter what challenges you are facing, you are not alone.